Maybe he had saved Madoc when Geoxys's palace had fallen, but Madoc was really beginning to hate him.
Anathrasa doesn't care if you're on the land or sea.
She'll care if he throws up on her. Ash lounged on the wooden steps to the upper deck, waving 5 flame-tipped fingers in front of her face. Since Madoc had returned her Ignea, transferred it through the conduit of his body with his soul energy, the fire she created was blue. Like the dead fire gods. Madoc had heard Tor whispering with his sister Taro and her wife. They thought Madoc had accidentally given Ash the power he'd taken from Ignitus. He wasn't sure they were wrong. None of them knew exactly what it meant, but if anyone was strong enough to figure it out, it was Ash. She was wearing 2 tunics to fight the cold, but her shins were uncovered, and his gaze had fallen to her bare ankles, crisscrossed by the leather straps of her sandals, when another wave knocked him sideways into the foremast. She laughed, and he couldn't stop his grin, even as the small crowd that had gathered near the helm above her snickered. Every Coolin on this ship had their sea legs, but Madoc still spent every morning and night with his head over a bucket. I'm not going to throw up. Probably.
Focus, Tor ordered. Anathrasa will be ready. She'll have protection. Era and Biotis were allies of Geoxys. They'll likely join her now that he is dead. And who knows how many of the gods of Earth's centurions will rise to her aid once they realize what she can do.
Madoc shivered. His mother was cunning. She'd survived for centuries by tithing, sucking the souls out of the gladiators Geoxys had offered her. She would not be defenseless now. Those who stood against her would be tithed, and the rest would suffer in silent allegiance for fear that she'd turn on them next.
You know my intention, Tor continued. Now stop me.
Maybe that's the problem, Ash said, snuffing out the blue flames in a closed fist. You don't really mean to hurt him. When he used Anathrasa to fight before, there was always a threat to his life. Her dark eyes flicked to his. Or mine. Madoc's shoulders drew together as he thought of the diamond guards dragging Ash out of the preparation chamber at the arena after Anathrasa had taken away her energeia. A new sickness twisted his stomach as he remembered the palace, the tithes, his hollow soul needing to be filled. His mother had forced him to take Petros's power, even if it meant killing him, to make himself strong. He'd taken Ignitus's power next, then Geoxys's, and it had nearly destroyed him. If he hadn't been able to give that power to Ash, it would have. Now, a hunger for those same feelings, for the taste of another's energeia, was with him all the time, pressing against his lungs with every breath. But he refused to give in, not when this ship was filled with people who'd risked their lives for him. Not when he knew what tithing had done to Ash, to his sister Cassia. If he was going to be strong enough to drain whatever power his mother, the mother of all gods, had left, he needed to find another way to sate this growing need.
I have no problem making him bleed if that's what it takes, Tor said with a sharp smile.
Madoc winced in Ash's direction. Has he always been like this? Oh no, she grinned. He used to have a training room and full armory at his disposal. Madoc sighed through his teeth as Tor drew his knife and advanced again, a driven look in his eyes that made Madoc suspect he hadn't been kidding about making him bleed. He was close enough to strike, and Madoc raised his hands, empty, at Tor's insistence, to defend himself. As they circled on the deck, Madoc reached out with his Anathrasa, feeling for Tor's emotions, finding the same intense frustration as always. But it was laced with something else. A thin, pulsing warmth that reminded him, with a jolt of pain, of Elena. He blinked back his last image of his adopted mother, holding his face in her hands, telling him they would see each other again, just before she disappeared into the riots outside the temple to find Elias, Danon, and Ava. It was better this way. The farther Madoc was from Deimos, the safer they were, but he worried for them all the same.